So he just built another expansion. By having this very clear refinement, it makes you go, oh my god, there are actually things that are possible without sacrificing anything else. In that first game, it was like, wow, Sean was able to build a Nexus at 5 minutes, and he was able to get his Dark Templar up at like 5 minutes and 25 seconds. But when he really refined it, he got his Nexus way before 5 minutes, and he got his Dark Templar up really good. Oh my god, that is so cool, because now all of a sudden, I see all these different possibilities that this strategy is good against. So, let's reset one more time. Let's do some more examples. Suppose for a minute that, alright, well, I thought I built a probe, but apparently I hit the R key instead of the E key. And you'll note that R is oftentimes not E, so it's not particularly useful. So let's suppose for 1 minute in time that I was getting some sort of early Marauder pressure that was damaging me a lot. And I was thinking, man, I really lose that first Stalker so fast that I truly do need a Zealot. And by the way, for any of you who are watching, who are noting that I'm doing all these hotkeys down there, and you're thinking, oh, I might not do that or something like that, don't worry so much about that. For now, the focus of this one is going to be almost exclusively on just the readjustment of build orders and some minor techniques, but getting real into the nitty-gritty of how to hold your mouse and keyboard is not the real purpose of this one. So if you're concerned about that, don't be too extraordinarily freaked out. But yeah, so here's my Chrono Boost coming up. So I'm thinking right now, what can I possibly sacrifice in order to get an army that can adequately deal with that sort of Marauder harassment? Again, I can't actually use the corner of my screen to scroll because I'm windowed. And once again, huge thanks to QXC for this awesome map. And also for saving my ass at the last second. I mean, seriously, I couldn't get it to stay windowed. And he just like, yeah, it's in this menu. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was pretty helpful. Ooh, man, by the way, I just want to state that for the record, this feels really nice on a computer. Like single-player mode instead of on any sort of latency. Oh, like this is literally 0 latency. Oh, baby, I'm having fun. But let's say there's this Marauder thing coming, so I'm going, alright, I'm going to build a Zealot. What are some things that I observed in that last game? Well, in that last game, I was pretty damn broke on the gas front. I was pretty close to not being able to build that Dark Shrine. And a lot, well, I could have snuck out a sentry in all that time, but in this game, we're going to see that I actually can't. Because notice that I'm getting this Zealot instead of that refinery. So that money that was going to the refinery is being eaten up. Now I actually think I can afford it. And I can begin chrono boosting some fun stuff. But this is a little bit later than ordinary. I'm also noting that because I'm getting a Zealot, I really need to build a second pylon. Because look at my food count. It's going to be getting pretty high here in a minute, so I'm actually feeling a little bit cramped right now. I don't want to chrono boost any units, or excuse me, any probes, because I'm feeling a little bit close in terms of, yeah, I don't want to chrono boost any probes, because notice that I'm just at 26 of 26 food, and my gas is being mined a little bit later here. So I can't really build that sentry. We're starting to see that, okay, well, what's a good time to build this thing? Well, if he's going early Marauder pressure, I bet you I'm going to need to build another Zealot. I bet you that is going to be a concern of mine, that I need to be able to deal with these Marauders in some fashion, or something like that. So let me also get this, this Warp Gate research up. And let me, okay, now it looks like I have enough money. I also have an idle worker, awful. We'll start chrono boosting this, so... And, you know, I'm actually going to make this mistake. I'm actually going to build this sentry, just because it really goes to show how extraordinarily useful it is to really test these builds out. So, alright, cool, I have my sentry coming. Now, is a sentry a bad choice? Is it a good choice? I would say it's like the most reasonable unit to build in the world. Oops, don't want to forget a pylon. One of the most reasonable units to get in the world, right? We can force field our ramp. If, for some reason, Marauders get here, we can force field here and lock in between. And one thing I just want to point out that I delayed building this Twilight Council. This Dark Shrine I actually couldn't afford for a little while because I built this sentry. So then after you do that, you simply reset and go all the way through it once again. So I want to do another example with Terran. So it seems like we have a pretty good build for Dark Templar. Because it's only 4 minutes long, I can happily do it. And of course, I'm going to briefly look over here to the chat to see if there's some comments people have, some questions. But just being able to note all this stuff, like, so much, is, you know, just be very perceptive, be very aware of where your money's going and what it's doing, and the fact that you really want to have these super, super tight timings. That's part of the reason why people like building their stuff really close to their nexus, like here and here. It's really, really, really awesome. So, you know, like, I'm going to build my pylon back here again. Rearranging these probes a little bit, like, ooh, this mineral patch looks like it was about to be finished mining, so I rallied there. That's just a very simple technique that can get you a lot of extra cash at certain points in time. So I'm going to repeat this build that I seem to have worked out. It seems like I'm going to be going 12 gate, 14 assimilator, building a 14 assimilator, building a pylon around 15, pretty much when I have the money to. I'm going to be chrono boosting. Generally, I'm going to be chrono boosting after I build a structure. So there, I built my gateway. I'm going to start this probe. I'm going to chrono boost. Cool, I've established a little rule for myself that I'm going to follow. Really easy to remember, very easy trigger to set up. So for instance, right here, okay, cool, I'm going to build a building. Now I'm aware that I want to be chrono boosting. I just, yeah, and look, right there, I could have easily tossed out another chrono boost. And I actually think I chrono boosted twice in there somewhere. Yeah, and look, right after I build a pylon, I have enough for a chrono boost. Easiest thing in the world. And now I'm going to be building my cybernetics core when I can, and that's going to be delightful, because obviously stalkers are awesome. And I'm starting to notice, yeah, as I'm getting this refined, there literally is no wiggle room. I am building my cybernetics core at 17, period. And you can always do something like this. You can always say, well, I'm going to pretend that I scouted him. So you just pull one guy off mining. So here is our scout worker. And hey, I built that cybernetics core. I want a chrono boost. Okay, I also need a zealot out. And now I'm going to be trying to build my gas, but only after I get my zealot started. That seems really reasonable to me. And then I'm going to completely cut all my not all my pylons. I'm going to completely cut any sort of sentry. Okay, cool, my zealot just finished. Don't quite have enough to chrono boost the stalker just yet. And I'm going to build another pylon with my probe that I supposedly scouted with. So yeah, I'm chrono boost that stalker so I can deal with any sort of reaper harass, any sort of marauderness. And now I really want to be spamming to get that cybernetics core up. I'm only looking in my base at this point in time. Really nowhere else. So hey, this pylon timing, wow, I like that. That timing on my pylon looked pretty good. Again, ooh, I'm so tempted to build a sentry because I was at 50-100, but I'm going to skip it. I'm actually going to build a zealot, and I'm going to now I'm going to begin chrono boosting my warp gate because I do need that. We require more minerals. And so yeah, I'm going to happily bounce back down here. I'm trying to be aware of my food. My second gateway's coming up. And yeah, notice now, I skipped that sentry, and notice I still don't quite have enough gas for the Dark Shrine, which costs 250 gas. As I'm spamming there, I can finally afford it. Wow. And of course, I also need to be building another pylon here. We require more minerals. And there's spick and span, and easy and nice, and happy and fun. And then I will be getting Dark Templar out at the usual time. And I'm noticing that I'm ending up with a lot of zealots here. Thanks to just like the structure of this build, the fact that I was kind of broke on gas, so I coincidentally now own lots and lots of zealots. But this could be useful for me later on, because I think, well, now it's tempting to start getting that charge upgrade for the zealots at some point here. Do I have enough gas to do that? Well, I do need... How much does a Dark Templar cast? Well, you can't see it because my overlay is covering it up. Let's actually move that out of the way really fast. A Dark Templar costs... And that's perfectly covering it up now. That's fantastic. For educational purposes, Dark Templar costs 125, 125. Wasn't that great to be able to show everyone that? So I might be able to note this. Here's a very awesome thing that we're going to do in just a second. So you heard me just say, oops, actually I made a sentry. You heard me just say, yeah, you know, it really feels like Zealot leg speed would be a useful upgrade to have in this build order. Well, getting Dark Templar as fast as I can, how much gas do I have? Wow, 180, almost 200. Maybe I could begin researching this charge right after I build my Dark Shrine. See how I'm suddenly realizing more possibilities that I have? Just by sort of examining what I'm looking at and how and just to be aware of that. So, so let's actually swap on over to Terran. Let's do a very popular Terran opening. So here on the Terran pieces. So not only is it useful to get all these timings worked out in your main build to sort of work it out, but a lot of times there is